Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Good Neighbors Sports. My name is Austin Hinton, and I haven't posted a video in a long time. It's been a while. I've been getting lazy. Well, I've been working a lot, and I've got a lot of creative commitments that I've been working on. I got a couple murals that I'm painting, so those have been kind of taking up a lot of my spare free time, but also, there hasn't been a lot of Buffalo Bills talk, and of course, I've said it many times, I'm a broken record, just like this my record player right here. It just hasn't been too much to talk about in the offseason, and that's obvious because there's no games going on in the offseason. But, there's been stuff people are talking about, like a new stadium. I'm not going to bore you with a video about that because what am I going to do about it, huh? Nothing. I can tell you what I'd prefer. I'd prefer us to stay in Orchard Park, have all that parking and tailgating if we move downtown. Kiss all that goodbye. But a new stadium would be nice, but keep it in Orchard Park. That's my opinion. Let's get past that. Today we're talking about Cole Beasley. He's got some Twitter beef, some Twitter drama going on, and it's kind of a big deal. And, in recognition of this Cole Beasley drama, I decided to go man bun. Why not? Cole Beasley's got the flow. I'm going to just try and imitate it. Why not? But the issue that Cole Beasley has is the COVID vaccine. He's been going off on Twitter all for a few months about the vaccine, and then the NFL's new ruling about what would happen to unvaccinated players and vaccinated players throughout the next season. And let's just get right into it.
And now the Bills are on the rise again.
It is pandemonium. It is fantastic.
So I'm going to summarize this long tweet from his iPhone notes that he posted on Twitter. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'm going to dissect it and go through what he's talking about, what his position is, and going forward, how this affects him as a player, as a teammate, and as a tenured member of the Buffalo Bills. Cole Beasley, so he's not vaccinated and says that he plans to live life regularly and urging concerned people to either stay away from him or get vaccinated. Point blank, period. He says he may die of COVID, but he'd rather die actually living. He's a rapper. He comes up with fun lyrics, and sometimes they don't really make sense. I think he's just trying to be creative here. I really don't get it. Who knows? He goes on to say that he has family with limited time left, and he says that they can visit him regardless of any protocol. I'm guessing this is in regards to protocol from the NFL saying any unvaccinated players has to have limited contact with outside personnel, whether it be family, friends, the public. And this is him basically just saying, my family's going to come over. I don't care about protocol. And I'm also not getting vaccinated. Now, this is kind of weird to me because if he's worried about the health of his family who has, as he says, limited time left, maybe he should get vaccinated to protect them even further. But he's got a choice and he wants to stick to it. That part just doesn't really make too much sense to me. I'm not going to get into too much about my opinions on this, but more so just the state of emergency that the Buffalo Bills seem to find themselves in right now with this controversy. It's kind of stupid, but it's what we got to talk about, so we're going to talk about it. He goes on to say that he doesn't play for money and he just wants to win a Super Bowl. He says his family's taken care of. He's only 32 and he's already set his family up just fine. Good for him. He's doing great. I don't know why this folds into the argument too much, other than it seems like he's okay with getting sacked for his beliefs on the vaccine. He's okay with being forced into retirement because he's made all this money. He doesn't play for money anymore. He just wants to win a ring. He says he'd rather live healthily and build immunity, and he doesn't care if he's forced into retirement. He wants to be a voice for other NFL players that hold his opinion that might not be in the same stage in their career that they can actually speak about this openly and comfortably. So that's basically Cole Beasley's opinions and stance and values, and he's just expressing them. And it's kind of worrying because he doesn't care if he's sacked. He doesn't care if he no longer has a career in the NFL because he doesn't want to get this shot. And that's unfortunate. Now, another thing that Cole Beasley said that he's confused about, or a point that he's trying to make, is that unvaccinated players will only be tested once a week. And he's saying that he's talked to doctors that said that vaccinated players or vaccinated people in general can still carry and transfer COVID-19. And so he's saying if there's unvaccinated players that have to get tested every day, and there's vaccinated players that get tested every week, a vaccinated player could get COVID on Monday and then get tested on Thursday, and throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, they're spreading COVID throughout the facility. That's his point. He's thinking that the NFL isn't really keeping the players' safety at interest. It's more of just policy, sticking by a book, having a policy in order to go through the next season worry-free, basically. They're just putting out a blanket statement and holding people accountable to it so that the season can go on smoothly like a well-oiled machine. And Cole Beasley is calling their bluff and saying that it's more of just a policy to get business moving back to normal and not so much keeping the players safe. Now let's get into the fun part, the Twitter tweets and Twitter quotes and whatnot, and different players that are going back and forth with Cole Beasley. It's not too serious, but it's still, you know, we don't want to lose Cole Beasley. He's great.
I'm watching the Buffalo Bills. I'm watching Beasley, and I like Beasley. I love how he played for the Bills last year. But this talk about losing his rights if he got a shot, BS. You don't have the right to drive at .08 alcohol in your blood. You don't have a right to drive over 80 miles an hour. Those are safety issues. This whole thing is about safety, public safety. It's not about your rights. I like what Hughes, the defensive end for the Bills, is saying. Look, man, what the league says now, you're not going to get paid if you get COVID and it costs the team games. You don't have the right to cost your teammates a game check. You're taking food off their table. You don't have the right to put them in jeopardy health-wise. You don't have the right to do that. My suggestion is opt out. If you don't want to get the shot, don't play. I'm sure you got enough money to last you, but you don't have the right to put your team in financial and physical jeopardy. I'm just saying.
So this is another thing on Twitter that kind of gave this argument some shakiness, because he said he doesn't play for the money. He doesn't play for a Super Bowl. And here he's joking about he'll get vaccinated and be an advocate for it if Pfizer puts a percentage of its earnings from the vaccine in his wife's name. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But he just threw all his values out right there. He basically says he'll get vaccinated if Pfizer gives him money. So the money is something, or is it not? I'm sure he's just joking, because obviously Pfizer's not going to just give him proceeds from the vaccine just to be an advocate for it and get it. It seems like he'll get vaccinated. He doesn't care as long as it's just money. I don't see why. This just kind of muddies up his stuff and seems like it's more of an emotional thing for him than an actual practical thing. And then Jerry Hughes chips in his opinion, and he's basically saying what I said earlier. With underlying health conditions, he wants to make his family safe, and why wouldn't he get vaccinated anyways? He says some people have an underlying health condition, so if they are at risk if an outbreak happens. Cole Beasley comes out and says to him, so if a vaccinated player gets an unvaccinated player with an underlying condition, COVID, it's cool though, because he's still saying vaccinated people can still transfer COVID. I'm not too sure. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I haven't done the research. And he says, and the player with underlying conditions gets blamed for it. From minority to the majority, now the minorities don't matter. So this is Cole Beasley throwing out hypotheticals just to prove his point. Jerry Hughes goes back to say, you would think someone with underlying health conditions would get the vaccine to prevent future complications if they got COVID. Now, I understand freedom of choice, but our job has rules put in place, and rules are rules. Basically, yeah, Jerry Hughes' position is that they have a job to do. They work for a company called the NFL, and the NFL is putting out rules in place for them to follow, and if they don't follow them, then there's going to be repercussions. Cole Beasley is obviously protesting these rules, saying that they're taking away their choices and what they can do to their body. But also, NFL players put stuff in their body all the time. They get injections before games. They get pills that they take in order to kill the pain. It's crazy what they do out there, but a vaccine to keep you and your teammates and your family and your community safe Seems like a good idea to me. And the NFL wants those rules in place so that everyone can be safe. And if Cole Beasley doesn't want to abide by that, he's already said that he's okay with being forced into retirement. So if that's the case, good for him. He's got a happy life ahead of him, but I don't want to say it, but it seems selfish. If he wants to win that Super Bowl, he's going to be available and able to do it for the team because he's such an integral part of it. And Stefon Diggs kind of touches on that with his tweet when he just says accountability, availability. And I think this is something that Coach McDermott has preached throughout last season when it comes to injuries and COVID and just doing your part to stay safe, not transfer disease, not get injured, and be available for the team and be accountable for that. That's their job. That is the culture and the process that Buffalo is stuck to, and it seems that Cole Beasley is straying away from that. You know, if he wants to stand his ground and stay firm, then good for him. He's standing up for what he believes in, and you can only respect someone for that. But it kind of sucks if he is creating a hole in our team that is otherwise an absolute powerhouse team that could go all the way this year. It'd be a sad, sad thing to see Cole Beasley go and then Buffalo inevitably win the Super Bowl. But that's the way it is. And honestly, that's all I got for you today. I just wanted to talk about Cole Beasley a little bit, get his point out there, get my point out there. And, you know, time will tell. We'll see what happens. But that's all I got for you today. This has been another episode of Good Neighbors Sports. As always, be good to your neighbors and go Bills.